This episode is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of July 2019, Mountain Glass is offering their Boro sale. You can get Pyrex rod and tube at 45% off. No coupon code needed. Just go in there and place your order. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds, they have their Effetre sale going on right now at 35% off. Just put in coupon code Effetre, that's EFFETRE at checkout. And they also have a bunch of other sales for kilns and all kind of fun things going on. Any other questions, comments, or concerns that you need, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to episode 1 of A Glassblower's Companion. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for the patience as we got this new episode and our transition going from Wise Guy Radio into A Glassblower's Companion going. So excited for things going on behind the scenes right now. There's been a lot of work and happenings, and I put together a small team behind me that is now helping keep things up and going. And you're probably wondering and asking yourself, why did we change the name? And I've actually wanted to change the name of the show since day one. Early on, the Wise Guy brand has been a brand of mine that I've kind of coined the term and named. That all started from a little custom order I had over at the Mouse House that then led into some people on Instagram, customers asking about if I can make them into functional pieces. And then came up with an idea and a name of the Wise Guy for the brand. And then that led to another customer sending me a picture he had drawn up one day, just being I guess bored, maybe hanging out, being creative, and that became the logo, and then everything kind of grew from there, and the idea for the podcast then started, and that was about 6 months of prep and work and recording and getting things together and practicing, etc., and that then led to the launch of the show, which now we are going into, I believe this is year 5, starting in a sense. The show originally aired back, we're 2019, so I think it was 2016 in June is when the show launched. And ever since then, the show's been growing. But what I really wanted was a name for the show that when just anybody out there in the world that listens to podcasts searched, say, glassblowing or the term, would come across the show. And you really don't come across the show if you put in the term glassblowing. And being exposed to thousands of people on a daily basis at work and hearing a lot of folks saying how much they'd be interested in doing this, which is what then spawned the YouTube channel, which I've only posted one episode. I have podcast episodes coming up all the time on there, but that's also going to be more consistent and getting that ball rolling as well. But I really wanted something that was a show that could be for anybody and everybody, specifically for the glass blower and glass artists, whatever type of glass you're doing. But also for anybody that's just interested in this type of craft or art or the market or the niche of art. And so here we go. And I figured to start the show. And just kind of summing up and thinking about some ways of coming up with a name. And the idea with the show is, a lot of us listen to podcasts on our phone. And our phones are in our pockets a lot or whatever. And I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing, like our phone is kind of our companion, and I wanted the show to kind of go along and coincide with that thought and idea of something that's so you can take along with you as a companion to either give you insights into glass making, just be there as someone in your shop with you, talking in your ear while you're by yourself blowing glass, keeping you company, just different thoughts about that kind of stuff. And it's, here we are. So now we have a Glassblower's Companion. And just really excited. Things are going to be way more organized with this show in terms of the layout and the format, the structure of the show. A lot of the past 4 seasons of the show, most of it has just been me flying by the seat of my pants. literally, just kind of between interviews and setups and stuff. And I've had things scheduled and what have you. But just in terms of like scripting the show and having a specific layout and format, it's something that I've been wanting to do, just to have a more organized show with content. So after this episode, you'll start hearing a more organized show, just with updated news, segments, that kind of stuff, as well as interviews. In the past, we've had guests on, like Luke Zimmerman, who's a lawyer, specializes in trademark, copyright type stuff. He's already scheduled to come back on the show. Going to be bringing some specialists in to talk about specific things that you can do at home to help alleviate pain, to also to help kind of the word I'm looking for. To do some preemptive exercises or stretching or things that are physical to help you in a nature sense, to basically keep issues from happening. Carpal tunnel is a big issue you could deal with. Radiation burns from your torch, all kind of fun stuff. These are all topics and things that we need to discuss outside of being a glass artist. These are things that affect us on a daily basis. I know there's times at work I leave after working an entire shift and making really big stuff, and even if I have a shield up in front of me and I wear sunscreen, I'm still getting torch burnt. And skin cancer is a real thing when it comes to dealing with radiation burns and being exposed to the UV rays that come out of our flame and the brightness of what's going on in front of us. Not to mention working in the heat and not being hydrated enough, having proper footwear, posture, body mechanics, all this kind of stuff, as well as all the business talk as well. Something I've gotten away from that really the show the last year has just been interviews. Brought a couple guests on that had some specialty type situations that we talked about. But really, I want to bring this show back into an all-encompassing kind of big hug that's going to help you as a glass artist be the best glass artist you could possibly be, as well as help you out as a human being. I've shared my journey, my stories, my strengths, my weaknesses, and I'm still going to continue to do that. And I want to really just keep this ball rolling for years and years and years to come. Mondays, and the show is going to be scheduled and it's going to be regimented, so you can look forward to episodes coming out specifically on certain days. Mondays are going to be the Wise Guy Minute. I'm still going to be calling that name for that show. And they're little 5 to 7 to 8, 10-minute little episodes, just me talking about a topic or an idea. The last one I just did was the 8th episode of that series. It was talking about deliberate practice versus just repetition, which is such an important topic. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and listen to it. It's just, there's very specific reasons why deliberate practice is so important when it comes to learning specific techniques as a glassblower. So go back and listen to that episode. It's a real quick, 6-minute episode. But going to be doing all that kind of stuff. So Mondays is going to be the Wise Guy Minute. Fridays will be the Glassblowers Companion episodes. And then Sundays, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a bi-weekly or monthly. It's still up in the air because of my schedule and also those around me that are on my team and their schedules. But we're going to be getting into a lot of stuff. I have a top 10 colors, which is basically like the top 10 favorite colors that were chosen by the audience. I put out a couple feeds out there on Instagrams and Facebooks and stuff, and even mentioned it on the show before. So I have that already done. The script's already scripted. I just got to record it, get it up and edited, put all the plugins in, and then that's going to be the next episode. And then from there, I'm going to be doing an entire series. It's probably going to span over a year or so of content, of videos, that's going to be covering the history of glass as far as I can find back to where we are currently, to where glass was initially invented and created in terms of the theories of where it came from, because it's still speculation. But there is obviously specific knowledge out there on certain time periods when glass was being used, obsidian and stuff like that back in the days of the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, etc. Then where glass eventually split into from the soft glass, soda lime glass to the borosilicate glass, the invention of, in terms of the formulas for borosilicate. And then we're going to grow both episodes are going to split there, and then they're going to have their own specific episodes talking about each types of glass. Specifically with the borosilicate glass, it's going to go through the history and what it was used for in scientific purposes, all that kind of stuff. Then when the color started being created, which doing this top 10 color, I found a shit ton of amazing information and history on formulaic equations, properties, fun alchemy stuff, the talks, the history, all kind of cool stuff about the borosilicate world. And as the pipe makers out there that are listening to this, that have been doing this for more than 15 plus years, understand the growth of color that we've had in the last decade, really, going from 12 to 15 colors to now at least 400 plus colors. All these amazing companies out there creating glass in all kind of ways. We're going to talk about techniques and prep, and just a lot of information that is out there. And like I said, that's why I think the YouTube stuff is going to cover probably a year or so, if not longer. It's just going to be continuing to grow, all the information and knowledge that's out there. But I'm really excited. I am and have been obsessed with this material for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid, throwing beer bottles and stuff in campfires, all that kind of stuff. Up until now, where I am here. I remember even watching pastry chefs and sugar makers back in the day blowing sugar and making like swans and stuff out of sugar. Always intriguing. So I want to share, I want to learn, and I want to learn with you about all this information. And again, the term or the name of a glassblower's companion I felt was very fitting for the concept and the direction of where I want to take this show. So there's my ramble for you on where we are, kind of catch you up to speed. And again, Mondays, the Wise Guy Minute. Fridays will be the Glassblower's Companion episode itself, whether it's an interview with an artist, an interview with a specialist, a scientist, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever. We're going to be covering all of it. There's also a ton of new podcasts out there in terms of the glass world. And I can't say a ton, but there are new podcasts out there. I'm going to be bringing those guys on the show. I want to share their shows as well. I'm all about sharing the wealth and the knowledge out there and exposing what is going on out there in the community and kind of enveloping us all into this group of content creators, the same way it's done out there in other things. Like, I'm really big into Pokemon Go, and I know there's a whole community of Pokemon Go creators on YouTube that get together at these events, and they all kind of brainstorm and do stuff and have fun. And I hope that down the road that we can all get together, those that are content creators in this glass world, and do the same type of thing. So stay tuned for all that. But in the meantime, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of the intro for the show. Before I do, though, today's episode features Chris Dickey, goes by Goblin King. Some people know him as Turtle also. He's a good friend of mine. He's been staying with me at the house here for about 2.5 weeks or so. He's been on a cross-country tour, quote-unquote cross-country, going from Texas to Florida. But he really made some stops along the way and was a plan that he's been wanting to do for a while. Kind of the fucked up side of things is his main purpose and goal coming to Florida was to blow glass with me. The 2 days that him and I had a chance to go over to the local Orlando Glass Union and melt together, I ended up getting a bad cold and was sick for 2 days. My 2 days off that I had to go melt glass with him. And just the way my schedules worked out, we haven't had the chance to do it. But we did have a chance, though, to sit down and do a in-person interview. The sound levels, we both recorded off my one mic. So because my mixer that I have is my older mixer, I don't have a plug-in for 2 mics. So I had to adjust our audio levels. So it's not like the best audio quality I've ever had, but I think it still came out pretty good for what it was. But the goal with this episode is talking about Chris's journey in terms of his preparation and the mindset and things he had to do to be able to afford to travel across several states, stops along the way. It's not a cheap thing to do. And the way he talks about the way that he was able to prepare for this trip. And as a glass artist, and really as an artist in general, but specifically for this show, as a glass artist, you have the opportunity to create your lifestyle and design your lifestyle. If you want to travel the world as a glass artist, well, you can do that. As long as you have the skills and the techniques and the mindset and the acumen in terms of the business side of things to organize yourself, to be able to then put things together, make a plan, and then make that plan come to fruition. There's no reason why you can't. If you enjoy just being at home, staying in the state you're in, blowing glass, having fun with your friends, whatever the reason is that you do as a glass artist, it's amazing. However, the idea with this interview and with this podcast as well is to kind of guide you and help you have the mindset that you can live the life that you want to live. My goal ever since I was a child was to be an artist for Disney. Never thought glass was what I was going to do, but here I am now 20 years into blowing glass as a glass artist, and I'm living out my childhood and adult dreams on a daily basis, and it's a blessing to be able to do this. I'm not a millionaire. I don't make a shit ton of money. I would do the job that I have for free, honestly, if I didn't have bills to pay and kids to feed and that kind of stuff. But I love it, and I hope that as a glass artist yourself, you love what you do, and that's why you do it. Now, there's some artists out there that blow glass because it's a job. It's a 9-to-5 kind of thing for them, and that's fine. You found a job and a position that you can work at home and create work and have a distributor or whatever you do. It's beautiful. And again, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because again, you have the opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do as a glassblower. just got to have an organized, creative thing in terms of your business to make that happen. So I hope you enjoyed this interview with Chris. This is his third time on the show. I'll have his other episodes and links in the show notes for you to check out. The first one was his background, his story. Early on, he came on the show, probably episode 4 or 5. I think 5 was actually Coil, but I think he was maybe like 3 or 4 back in the day. And then he came back on again, and we talked about some of the things that are going on within the industry, the really weird flux, the peaks and the valleys and the ebbs and the flows, where things are, where they've been, you know, all that kind of stuff, as well as him parting piece of advice in a sense. He had posted a post on Facebook a couple years ago, and I actually had him come on the show and read that specific thing that he wrote, because it's the reality of what it is being a glassblower, the cuts and burns, the heartaches, all that kind of stuff. Another reason why my YouTube channel, my first episode, was the top 5 reasons why you should not be a glassblower, because you, as we all know, this is not a medium for everybody. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this interview with Chris. Also, some upcoming news here coming up. We got a bunch of trade shows wrapping up this year of 2019, and I can't fucking believe we're already almost in August of 2019. It is absolutely crazy. But coming up is the FAM Trade Show. They have taken over the Madison Convention Center where Glass Roots used to be. The FAM Trade Show is going from August 17th to the 19th, and it seems to be a more Midwest-focused artist type of convention trade show, which I think is pretty cool to have like a niche down kind of concept. I know they have artists from all over the country, but specifically for the Midwest artists that are out there. So the FAM Trade Show comes up August 17th through the 19th. And then we have a fun event. I think this is the 4th annual Melt, East Coast Melt that they're doing. This goes from September 9th through the 13th. You can find them all on Instagram. The Melt is at East Coast Melt. I'll have all these links in the show notes for you guys to check out. But they have a lot of amazing things. Right now, they are offering a chance for you to win a torch bench space at this the event going on at Melt. They have a ton of artists coming in. I hope one of these days I'll be able to go up there and be a participant in this and actually be up there to teach and stuff. But it's an amazing experience from everything I've read. I've had the guys on the show last year talking about this kind of stuff. And it's a pretty badass thing. So again, that's September 9th through the 13th. Champs Orlando, I believe this is year 3 that they're in Orlando. They're going to be here in downtown Orlando. I believe they're at the Gaylord Resort again this year, but they're going to be here September 15th through the 17th. We have Glass Roots has moved down to Asheville, North Carolina. So I think it's their first year actually there this year. They're going to be there from August 7th through the 9th. And that's pretty much what's wrapping up the year. So we have the FAM Trade Show, August 17th through the 19th. East Coast Melt's going on September 9th through the 13th. Champs Orlando is September 15th through the 17th. And then Glass Roots Asheville is going to be October 7th through the 9th. So it's pretty cool to see what's going on out there. These trade shows are spreading out a little more. As those that listened to my interview with the ladies over at Glass Vegas, they discussed why they're doing their trade show in January this year, and who they're coinciding with the tobacco industry company group that they're all kind of organized together with to kind of spread themselves out and have a more focused attendance in a sense for that show. So go back and listen to that last episode. I believe it was 216. Did that with them. It was an honor to have them on the show. And I will be out there in Vegas this year in January. Still figuring out the logistics for all that, but I will be there for the days of Glass Vegas as a podcaster, creating content and stuff, and potentially also bringing some glass out there too. Also, on Netflix, if you have not yet seen, they have the new competition called Blown Away. I talked about it in the last episode. I have honestly not yet seen this just because of my work schedule in terms of just getting a chance to sit down. I want to binge this show. Once I do, on the next episode of A Glassblower's Companion, episode 2, I will be doing a full review of this fun competition. And it's pretty cool that there's an international now exposure. I hear people at work now all the time talking about this show that they saw on Netflix. I know back in the day, Slinger had Degenerate Art was on Netflix for a little bit, but that was years ago. So it's, again, having a newer show, an actual show showcasing the talents of these glassblowers. It's incredible. So I'd be looking forward to see what they do for season 2, how they hold auditions, all that kind of stuff. It'd be pretty cool to see. Maybe they'll get into the flame working side of things instead of just the hot shop or a collaborative event or whatever. But stay tuned for episode 2 of A Glassblower's Companion. I will be doing a full review on that as well. And for those that are not aware right now, Michigan Glass Project has a Kickstarter going on. They have 2 weeks left to fulfill their needs to be able to get the full funding for this right now. They have 14 days ago as of this recording. Right now I'm recording this on today's July 25th. I believe it was August 8th is the cutoff for this. I just actually posted on my social media on both my personal @jmichaelglass and also on which I just changed the name of the Instagram page to A Glassblower's Companion. But I put a challenge out there for you as an artist to help support the Michigan Glass Project Kickstarter. They're raising funds to be able to create a documentary of what's been going on there and the amazing things that they've been doing behind the scenes, and also with their events they have been doing annually where they bring a bunch of glass artists in, amazing collaborations and art being created, and all the funds go to their local art charities to help support the local art community in the area, which is fantastic. Part of my long-term goal with the show financially is to open up a glass blowing studio here in Orlando. That would be an outreach place for kids that don't really have a place to go after school to come in and learn this art and craft, as well as an educational space for anybody in the public. But specifically, I want to have an art place to expose the newer generations to the medium of glass blowing. And again, as a place, as an outreach for these kids to have a place, a safe place to go when their parents are at work and what have you, and they need some place to go so they're not walking the streets or stuck at home by themselves. Because myself, personally, I grew up with my sister. My mom had crazy schedules as a nurse working all the time, so her and I were, a lot of times, were home alone, and passed my time by being artistic and drawing and what have you, or reading books, watching cartoons, playing. But it would have been pretty cool if I had a place to go that was a place to go blow glass at a young age. Who knows? So anyways, you can follow or accept my challenge I just put out there on Instagram by going to the link I'll have in the show notes to the Michigan Glass Project's Kickstarter page. $1, $5. They have a $15 one, which was what I did. There's specific ones you can have on there. They are offering the $15 one. We'll put your name in the thank you in the credits. I didn't do it for my name being in there, but just financially wise, that's about what I could afford right now with my budget. So I wanted to contribute something. And so let's help them get their final money raised. And they have 2 weeks to go. This airs tomorrow. So as of tomorrow, when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this with the day it's released on Friday, there's 13 days to go. And they're trying to reach $27,000. So right now they're at about $9,000 roughly. So they got some money to make up, which I hope and pray that they reach this $27,000. Because if they don't, all the money gets refunded, and then they don't have the money to do it. So there you go with that. And I don't know. I guess that's about it for now. I've been rambling, chewing off your ear. And again, I hope you enjoy this interview and talk with Chris Dickey. He's a good guy, great artist, super humble, and it's a lot of fun talking with him. So until next time, if you have not yet left a review for this podcast, if you have an iPhone, please do so. It really is the cheapest and most affordable way you can help support this show by just leaving a 5-star review and a written review as well. It just shows the iTunes algorithm out there that this show's getting some love and exposes it out there to the world that will then expose us to those that don't know what the hell is going on in the world of glass. Also, if you'd like to join our community on Patreon, our Patreon group is slowly growing. If you become a wise ass on there with as little as $1 a month to help support the show. Every little penny helps. Every penny that is earned from the show through my sponsors and through the Patreon page goes right back to into the show. Everything, the equipment, to help pay for the hosting, everything that I do with the show. So if you want to become part of our community on there, I have exclusive video content for just our Patreon members on the Patreon website. It's patreon.com/wiseguyradio. And I'm not sure. I'm not shouldn't say I'm not sure. I'm going to be changing, obviously, the name of the Patreon group. I'm still calling them my wise asses, just because I love the name of it and it goes along with the brand and everything. But you can join. There's a $1, $5, $10, and then I have a new one coming up that's going to give you access to our online community, which is the online Glass University classes I'm going to be doing, which are at their final stage of getting edited and put together. Again, I have an awesome team behind me right now that's helping get all this stuff going. So after years of talking about it, things are finally almost done. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. So other than that, thanks so much for listening. I'm done rambling. Enjoy this episode 1 of A Glass Blower's Companion with my dude, Chris Dickey. Until next time, love you all so much. We'll see you on episode 2. Take it easy. Peace. Today's a special day of my first interview in person with a friend of mine, a fellow glass artist, Chris Dickey. It goes by the Goblin King out there in the social feeds and what have you. And we're going to be talking today about the idea of developing and creating your own lifestyle. As a glass artist, it gives us a chance to pretty much live out our dreams. Just got to figure out what the hell those dreams are first. And then you can devise a plan of attack in terms of finances and what you need to do to develop a business plan to get there. And today I'm talking to Chris about, share with you guys basically about his journey up until this point, because right now he's been doing a little bit of a cross-country traveling, going from, really cross-country, but Texas to Florida and back, visiting studios along the way and living the dream in a sense of being able to travel and collab with other glassblowers. So I hope you all enjoy this talk. And what's going on, Chris?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. We're both making out here in front of one microphone. Should be an interesting show here for you guys. But yeah, so we're stoked to be here, man. It's been a long time coming, but it's been 2 years since you've been here in Florida.
Yeah, 2 years. I came back for Champs in like 16 or 17.
Yeah, we were 19 now. Yeah, that was the first year that they did Champs in Orlando.
Yeah, it was dope. It was a good show.
Yeah, it was interesting. I heard some different points of views of it, but it seemed like where you guys were in the artist area was definitely happening.
I think it was happening for everybody. It was a good show. It was a really good show.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Make it, we make it.
Yeah, so I will get Chris's past. This is his third time on the show, so I'll get his past numbers in the show notes for you guys to check out his past episodes. First episode was him sharing his journey. I think we actually broke the first episode into 2 recordings because the recording got fucked up. We had a weird connection, storm come through or something. But that being said, and then the second one was him coming on and sharing just basically I don't know what you want to call it.
I don't know, it was like a piece of advice.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, advice for if you want to be a glass blower, here's what you're going to have to deal with. So I have those links out there for sure, but it definitely was a really good piece of advice because this community is just continuing to grow and a lot of people are tapping out along the way. Yeah, dude, I guess I really want to start off just kind of catching up on where you've been. You've been kind of not redeveloping your business, but, pivoting with distributors and wholesalers and trying to, find your way out there in this massive sea of glass blowers, along with having your own style in a sense of what you do and your line work and your Halloween themed pieces that you do, which is a ton of fun. But yeah, so what was your kind of beginnings of the plan for this trip and how'd you get this thing rolling?
Well, I wanted to work with you and a guy named Nick Baum. He goes by Nib Glass. And I've been telling you I was going to come out for years and years, and I just never, we never made it happen. And then finally I got, my daughter went away for a month to go live with her grandmother for a second, kind of like summer vacay.
Yeah.
And we seized the day, and I was like, okay, so let's go to Florida and work with Jason. And if I'm going to go to Florida to work with Jason, might as well go to Florida and work with as many people as I can. That's kind of like what me and my family have done since the beginning. I kind of travel as much as I can and work with as many people as I can along the way. And this is just my first run through Florida.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool too getting a chance to travel and collab with other artists, learning from each other, going through frustrations and stuff because not everybody's, compatible in a sense with styles and techniques or different levels of experience, what have you.
You find bumps along the way for sure, but I think it's certainly my favorite part of our scene, man. Like, you're not always going to work with, hype beasts, and you're not always, the point is to meet new people and have a great time doing it. And out of all the years I've done this, I've only had one bad experience. Everything else I wouldn't classify as bad. Sometimes they were rough collabs, and sometimes they were great. It's all about that sesh. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it seems like probably when you collab with other artists and get the chance to travel, you can really actually design and develop and plan your trip out ahead of time. And figure out things along the way. Did you guys kind of figure that part out before you took off?
Yeah, well, we decided that we're gonna do it, and then I put out a feeler, kind of like, hey, who wants to do work? Let's get melty, and that's kind of the way I do it all the time. I just reach out into the ether, and I pick from all the people that are like, hey, stop here, and I try to map it out as best as I can, and I knew that I wanted to go all the way down to Miami, so, just map it out and hit everybody along the way that I can and work with as many as I can. It's cool because I don't know a lot of mediums that can do this. Like, I'm sure painters paint with other painters, but there's just not many,
Mm-hmm.
Not many painters travel the country working with as many painters as they can, and not many dentists get out there and travel the country to dentist with other dentists.
Right. Yeah.
We're unique. It's a unique art form that we share, and I think that's my favorite part. And you're not always going to see eye to eye, and you're not always going to agree, and you're not always going to succeed, but that's a part of the journey, and I think that's dope, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the best part of it. Is like, and 9 times out of 10, I'm meeting a stranger, right? So like Nick Baum, I had a great friend Nick Baum. I went out to Oregon to make glass with Boro Farm, and what I ended up doing was like making a dope friend with Nick Baum, which has like flourished through over years to where, we worked together in the past, and it was really fantastic. And that's kind of the whole thing, right? Like, you want to meet somebody new, collaborate your styles, and make something dope that somebody gets to cherish. And I think that's dope, man. I think, it's just super unique, and I totally appreciate that.
Yeah, it totally is. And this is a complete fucking side note, dude, but it reminds me of a conversation I was having the other day about going to Disney and riding single rider lines. Because when you go single rider, they split you up and you can't stay with your friends. Sure. So, like, when you go on the roller coaster, like, I sat with this lady, I had no idea who she was. It was her first time on the ride. I got to have a unique experience, the collaborative experience in a sense of freaking the fuck out.
It's kind of like flying alone too.
Yeah.
Because like
you always, you have a co-pilot.
Right. Well, all of a sudden you're sitting next to a stranger, and as long as you're not like, I don't know, reclusive, you could make a friend out of that and meet somebody out of that.
Yeah. Which
I think is super fly. And I've met some amazing people through this journey, and Florida just grows on my soul. It's super special to me. This is one of my favorite tours that I've done, because I've done them, like, I've done the Northeast, and I've done all over the West Coast and the Southwest, and now I'm hitting Florida. So yeah, man, it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the Florida scene has definitely grown. Like, 20 years doing this, seeing what, I was like one of maybe 10 glass blowers in the state back in 99, 2000, early 2000s. And now there's hundreds. It's pretty, if not a couple thousand, maybe, I don't know. I'd be really curious to do like a Florida family tree kind of gimmick to see how many blowers are in this.
And where they came from.
Yeah,
like who taught who.
Yeah, that'd be dope. See some kind of lineage.
Like, very few of us are the same, really. Like, most of the people I work with are nothing like me. There's a couple that, like, they're the hippies, but there's a lot of, businessmen in this industry too. There's a lot of, we're not all alike, which is what makes it so dope. And watching other people's process, and watching, like, because the way you build it in your head, that determines a lot on the finished piece. Like, knowing how to structurally build it. And sometimes I get stuck. Like, I got a piece in my house. It's been sitting in my bench since like March, because I just can't figure out where to go from here. I could use another set of eyes on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely important to get a different perspective. And I think that's, even fun having people just stop by your studio, and give you perspective on things, because then it makes you kind of get these little light bulb moments on, I can go that direction with it. But I think it's also so important why you should have a pad of paper and try to sketch shit out. and get a plan of attack. Because it's really like, you can have a piece in your head on what you want to make it, but if you don't know the process
for sure
to get to the end.
Great plans make great projects.
Yeah, exactly. And the shit might look fucking great on paper, but even in reality, it doesn't always work out.
Sometimes it doesn't always.
No.
Sometimes collabing can be hard. It can be, it has nothing to do with the person or the skill of it. Sometimes like the energy just isn't where it needs to be. I don't know. It's like a spiritual thing sometimes, because there are times where, glass will break and I don't understand it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know glass pretty well. And yeah, sometimes I'm baffled.
Yeah, it's understandable. Energy has a lot to do with it for sure, especially when you're trying to figure out, be on the same vibe and direction for something.
Yeah, dude, collabing is just a unique experience.
Yeah, it's a relationship type thing.
Yeah, for sure. Communication is key.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess to kind of back up, like initially, you got to pay your bills, you got to cover yourself, expenses, food, travel, gas, all that kind of shit. What kind of plan do you have for that kind of thing before you take off? Because, obviously, you want to have a little bit of production for the road.
Right.
Maybe make some along the way,
Right.
Potentially. My perspective. But, what did you actually do?
Well, before I go anywhere, I make the plan as to whether I'm flying or driving. If I'm flying, I'm renting a car. If I'm driving, obviously. If I'm flying and renting a car, or I'm taking my whole clan and renting a car, then obviously I need more money to start. But this time, we just took my Jeep, loaded it up. So for 2 weeks before I left, I just made a bunch of production, and we saved up as much money as we could muster and hit the road. And you're working along the way, constantly working. And if you're doing it right, you're working a lot and you're producing a lot. And, I have no problem producing a lot of glass, selling a lot of glass, and it funding itself in a way. So, like, as long as you make sure that you pay the person you're working with before you pay yourself, as long as you make sure, you clean up your bench before you leave. I follow a couple little guidelines, but, money seems to be one of the lesser of the issues when you're working and traveling. It's not like it's not a normal vacation. You're doing an assload of work, but on the hand of that, like, it's paying for itself. Really, it's a good business venture on my end, because while I'm out, I'm not spending a bunch of money at home, and we do it on the cheap. We try to, eat light and just like gas, and because we're not out, we're not really partying out and about. We're working, so it's pretty cheap. It's not that bad, and since I'm making money at every single stop I go to, you can imagine if everywhere you stopped, you try to make a goal, whatever. Say it's $1,000. Okay, I have to make $1,000 at every stop. You set yourself up, I don't know, say 6 or 7 stops, and you give each stop 3 or 4 days to make that $1,000. It's all doable. None of it seems impossible. There is no real pressure, and everything seems to work out well. And then you sell the piece. You split the loot. Sometimes you go above your goal. Sometimes you don't reach your goal. You know what I mean? But the project beforehand pays for all that. Like, I don't know. I'm just a pirate, so I don't really know the paperwork behind it. But I know financially, we are making money. It does pay for itself. And, it's not like I'm just jumping off and going to Hawaii for the week.
Right, exactly.
If I did go to Hawaii, it would be for a month, because I'd have to find people to work with to pay for the trip.
Yeah. Well, and I guess overall, like, you can make a ton of shit and hold on to it and never sell it, and then you're fucked. So the idea is to be able to move this product. Yeah. So you're in a new state, you don't live here, you don't really necessarily have a ton of contacts in Florida.
I have zero really when I came.
Right,
yeah.
And you came to the state and sold a shit ton of stuff.
Absolutely.
So how are you developing these relationships with these shops? Are you going on social media? Are you looking them up in the phone book?
No. See, like back in the day, before all this social media stuff, a glass blower would make his work, and then he'd walk into a thing called a store, and he would talk to somebody called a buyer, and that buyer would tell him yes or no. I know that this concept is lost on the new generation, but it is a thing. You can do it. You don't have to have social media. It's just a really good platform. I sell all my work, especially this tour, because I know nobody aside from, who I'm working with. And maybe they have an idea like, oh, go try this store. They're a good buyer. Or go try that store. Yeah. They usually pick up work. And sometimes that works out well. But 90% of the stuff that we're doing is just, we make the work, and then on the way to wherever I'm going next, I hit every shop I can. And that seems to work. Like, I'm definitely not here to sit on work. So everything I make, as long as it's a first, is getting sold somewhere. Somebody, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Me holding on to it does it no good. I need to get it out there in the people's hands. Not 99% of what I make is either a pipe or jewelry. So, it does me no good. I want somebody to cherish it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why we're making it.
So to contact these shops, like, are you going on like a website that has like shop finder type things?
Yeah, well, normally I'll do like, I'll Google search where I'm at, or like I go to Google Maps and type in smoke shop and it pins them up. And sometimes I'll call, but if I'm being honest, like, whenever you're traveling as a glass blower, it's almost better if you call a shop. And I'm not saying like you shouldn't. I mean, obviously you can, but I find that whenever you call a shop, oh yeah, okay, maybe come in later, or the buyer's not here, or whatever excuse they'll give you. Mm-hmm. If you just walk through the door and you let the guy know, like, hey, I'm a glass blower, I'm not from here. This isn't the glass you'll see every day. This is not your run-of-the-mill, like, it's something different. 9 times out of 10, they want to see it. And once they see it, as long as your glass is quality, they're calling their boss. That's how I've sold almost everything. Yeah. I mean, it's you walk in, and just because you're not from here, they just want to see what you got.
Yeah.
And if it's good, dude, shop owners want to buy your work. They want good glass.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much jank glass out there right now that if you walk in with a case full of dope glass, they're going to try their hardest to get it, as much as they can get. Now, there are times where, the shop's down on its luck right now, or like it's had a rough week, or, things aren't working out just at that moment. But, I've also made dope connections where, that week wasn't good, but a month later I sold them $2,500. Yeah. So, it's not all about the sale every time. Obviously, I'd like a sale every time. But getting out there, meeting your buyers face to face and shaking their hands, that's another thing that these tours afford me.
Yeah.
And being able to say, like, oh, I'm going to New Mexico. Let's see, like, who's out in New Mexico today? And
it's badass.
Right. And then they see you, and they're not buying from a website, they're buying from a person. And I think that's a huge thing that's lost when doing this social media. Now, I do sell glass on social media. There are people I only contact through social media when it comes to that. But a lot of my glass is sold door to door. It just is.
It seems like, too, like in the perfect world, if you had like a month, in a sense, I think a month is probably good timing, to plan this trip out, and then the month ahead you can contact all your shops. Hey, in 30 days I'll be there.
Right.
And
like when I do like South Texas, where I'm from, and I do Oregon, where I know a bunch of people, places where I'm familiar, mm-hmm. I do that. I call them and I'm like, hey, wanted to let you know. Usually though, I've got distributors from east, south, and west that don't cross lines with each other. And I call them first, right? So I sometimes they're like, yep, I want first picks. Send me a picture of everything you make. My first tour was completely funded that way. My distributor literally bought, and it didn't matter what it was. Wherever I went, as long as it was, Bangarang, which it was, they were gonna scoop it, and they did.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's. I didn't even think about that. That's cool as shit.
That's and then That way, I get paid before I ever leave the studio.
Yeah.
So the person I'm working with gets paid before I ever leave their studio. Because, that's one of the key rules when traveling and working, especially with strangers. Like, don't fuck with people's money. Don't dirty up a person's shop.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't fuck with people's lines. When I go to somebody's studio, like, I don't fuck with their lines. They can unhook their stuff. I'm not going to do it. Just out of, like, I don't want to fuck up their stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just try to be as respectful as possible. Clean it up. Leave it better than you found it. And make sure everybody gets paid. And, bro, like, I've yet to find... Like I said, I've only got one bad experience through all these years. And I think I'm welcome everywhere I've been. Like, I've been able to call everybody, and everybody's kind. And when we see each other at events, they're kind. Like, nobody's openly been pissed at me. I mean, granted, they could talk shit behind my back, but I mean,
Right.
I always seem to be welcome back wherever I go. So
Yeah, that's important.
it is. It's key.
Yeah, and that's like you're saying, like with the fucking distributor.
Yeah.
It's like having a sponsor
Sure.
your tour, like a BMX racer or something like that. It's pretty cool, man, because then you can, like, in a sense, take that concept and blow it the fuck up, and really make a whole, like, a 6-month tour, or every quarter you go on like a week-long tour or something of the nature, where your distributor knows this is going to happen as like a regular thing.
The only downside with that is sometimes the other artist is not okay with flipping 30%. So
Right. Yeah. No, which is understandable.
the distributor wants to take 30 points.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can convince them to take 20 points, and sometimes we'll split that 20 points 10 and 10. Sometimes I have to eat all the 20 points, because sometimes the artist is like, bro, I'd rather just hold on to it, and I'd rather get them paid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I know if I get it to a distributor, that glass will be on the road and seen by every shop that they go to within the month. I could sit on it for a year, but that doesn't do either of us any good. I want people to be like, no, dude, Turtle came by. We made fucking money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a blast. That's what I want, right?
Yeah.
People to be like, no, you come back. You come back anytime you want, dude.
Yeah, that's the way to go, and that's the beautiful thing with this industry, is just developing the relationships like that, from the artist to the buyer to the collectors and
Sure.
everything in between. I mean, hell, even the people that we're buying our raw materials from,
Oh,
like
yeah.
dealing with Mountain Glass for 16, 17 years now.
Well, like, the people that make it, like Abe Chapman and the Grom. It's like,
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
yeah, it's not some faceless entities. Like,
Yeah.
and you can go out to Oregon, you can go out to North Carolina, you can go to these places and, like, see these people.
Yeah.
Shit, Mountain Glass sends you little, like, this packages was packed by.
Yeah, which is cool as
yeah,
shit,
I
right?
think it's real cool.
Little hand sketch drawing, little gimmick.
Thanks, Kevlar, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, something else I was going to ask you too. So I guess, really when it comes down to it, you got to plan the trip out as well as the trip back.
Well, usually planning the trip and the trip back. This one, because there are so many artists, like, usually I have an end date, right? I'm like, okay, I've got to be in court in October, so I got to be back. You know what I mean? Like,
Always court.
Whatever the case may be, like, I've usually got something where it's like I have to be back by a certain time.
Right.
This time, I got to go back for my daughter's school, and her birthday's in August, so, like, we do have things we have to get back to, but I do have some wiggle room. So anybody that's asked me, like, well, how long are you out for it? I don't really know. I know what path I'll take to get home. I know who my last people on my way out, like, I've got it scheduled with people that I'm going to work with. Like, you knew when I would be here.
Yeah.
The people before you knew when I would be there. So, like, I try my hardest to plan it as best as I can like that. But sometimes, I'm a day late and $1 short, bro. Like,
yeah, it's like missing your connecting flights.
Right. And so it's just, bro,
shit happens.
on the road, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
You know, radiator goes out, you're popping tires. Like, a lot can happen. Just driving, getting a wreck, a tire pops. I mean, just there's a bunch of stuff you can't really plan for. So if you can't, like, fly by the cuff, touring probably isn't for you.
Yeah.
Like, here in Florida, you've got the Orlando Glass Union Boro Supply. And there's like 15 dudes there. And they're all Superfly dudes. Everybody's super nice. It's like a little dream stop. You get those, they're all over the place where, you know, what is it, Liberty 503. They've got a dope shop out there with Northern Waters and, you know, just a whole crew of people. I think Blossom's out there now. And like you said, you got Zen Gallery over there. And right across the street, what is Ghosts Aquarius? Or
Yeah, I think South Atlantis are calling
South
it.
Atlantis, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, all over the country, there are hot spots. And as long as you're not a douchebag and as long as you keep your name clean and your reputation high, you know, usually you're welcome.
Yeah, that doesn't matter what level of experience you have either.
No, just don't be a dick. I mean...
Yeah. Don't be overconfident and be confident.
Well, dude, the truth is, like, I've been touring since before I probably should have been touring. And, you know, along the way of that, a lot of really badass, highly talented people just kind of, like, reached out and was like, hey, dude, try it this way. And it really changed. See, like, I consider myself raised by, like, old school glassblowers. I was raised by, like, Box Fan and Craig Lewis and all those cats. But I was also raised, like, on the road, dude. There's a lot of cats who have taught me a lot of things along the way that I would have never come in contact without these tours. So, I mean, it's definitely a good thing for me. Plus, I don't like stagnant scenery. You know, I probably got 3 years at any given place before I'm like, I just can't stay.
Start getting itchy. Yeah, I'm the same way. I just move every 6 months.
It helps if, like, every, you know, 5-6 months I do a tour.
Yeah.
I can habitate where I live better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so then you know, your tour ends and you sell your shit and then you go home with nothing. Hopefully, you know, a couple bucks in your back pockets to hold yourself over. So you know, you return home. So then what? You get back on the grind and start crushing it again?
Back to the grind. Because, I mean, I still have orders, right? Like, and as I go, I'm meeting shops and getting orders. Just this morning, somebody hit me up because I posted a picture of a collab. They liked the collab. Now they have an order. Okay, well, obviously I'm on tour. I can't work on your order right now, but whenever I get home, and that's how it works. You know what I mean? These connections, it's not just making a quick sale real quick. Some of these people are going to, like, support you, you know, and not all of them are shops.
Yeah.
Great lawyer down in Miami saw my work and freaked out and bought a rig, you know, and it was a nice rig. It wasn't some cheap piece of shit rig.
Yeah.
And that was somebody I don't even know.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't even knock on his door. He just happened to see my work out and about and scoop it.
That's awesome.
And if I wasn't there, it wouldn't be in his hands.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, the fortuitous of it, you know? Like, if you want something to happen, bro, you got to make that shit happen. So if I want my glass in Miami, how the hell am I going to do that in buttfuck nowhere, Texas? Get your ass in the car and go make it happen. That's why I don't really have a lot of respect for anybody that tells me they can't do it or, oh, this scene's just too much. I mean, that's bullshit. Like, people have become super comfy thinking, oh, well, I'll just make, 10 spoons a day and somebody will hit me up. And that's just not, dude, that's not the way it was in the beginning and it's not the way it is now. Like, get your ass out there and make your hustle. Ain't nobody gonna, that's what I love about glass, dude. Like, none of your success, none of it can be bought and paid for. Mm-hmm. None of it can be given to you, and nobody can do it for you. If you want to be good at glass and you want to have a name, you got to fucking do it yourself. And I think that's why, you name Darby, right? Everybody's got mad respect for Darby. The dude's been doing it forever. Like, the dude's that he earned his place on the list, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, nobody gave that to him. Like, he couldn't pay somebody to give it. You know what I mean? Like, he had to earn that shit.
Yeah.
So all these OGs, that's how they do it, you know? And I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in the day, all the OGs kind of did what I do now. Like, I remember Colin posting pictures of him having to blow out his oxygen and propane at the airport because they wouldn't let him through the security check because they smelled propane.
That's fucking
so
funny.
Like, man, just make that shit happen. I don't believe that the scene is changing for sure, and there's tons of reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you can't do it, and that doesn't mean you got to go and sell your torch because nobody online wants your shit. Somebody wants. If you make quality glass, somebody wants it.
Yeah.
So go out there and get it, right? Arkansas. I mean, I'd love to do Arkansas and Oklahoma. I don't know how many melters there are, but like, dude, I don't have any representation in Illinois or Indiana. I need to get my ass out there.
Yeah.
And then it's just like this Florida tour. There are a couple shops. I had Marley's in Orlando, Smoke Signals out in Tampa, St. Pete area, but not a lot. Not a lot of shops that supported me. Now I've got a fuckload of shops. There's 8 or 9 new shops that I got from this tour.
Yeah, and you reconnected me with an old shop of mine that I didn't even know I even had until now I've got a new shop, so thank you.
Yep. Boom.
It's interesting. And that's the fun thing, you make connections with people. I mean, I already had the connection, but, I had a couple pieces laying around, like, hey, while you're out and about, fucking hook a brother up.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, that's how it works. It doesn't, I will tell everybody every day of the week until the day I die, you got to fucking talk to people, ask questions, and not be afraid to be told no.
Sure. Yeah. There's no risk in it.
No.
You're not going to lose anything. I mean,
you're going to gain, if anything. It's that whole idea of this being one more no to a yes.
I think another really important thing about these tours is, like, I really rely on the kindness of strangers in a very great way. Like, Stephanie and Bailey and Caliber hit me up, and I don't know these cats from Adam, but they got a couch for me, and they got a shop for me, and we're going to do work and make money together.
Yeah.
And when I go there, it's only because these people are so kind and so accepting and so open that I can even stop there. Just like here at your pad. Like, if I didn't have a place to stay in Orlando, imagine how much it would fucking cost me, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It costs thousands of dollars for the amount of time that I'm here.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks in Orlando. Dude, it would bankrupt me.
Yeah.
So, like, either trust the scene and sometimes stay with strangers, and you're gonna have to if you want this to work.
Yeah.
But like, the kindness of strangers is a huge reason this works. I'm able to reach out into the scene and have people that I don't know. And like I said, dude, out of all these years, there's only one time where that bit me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really bite me that, like, it definitely sucked, the situation, but that's, what is it, like 1 out of 100?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll take those odds any day of the week, dude.
Well, and a lot of people in our industry deal with anxiety and shit, and like the anxiety keeps them from wanting to leave their house, which is a part of why I feel like the glassblower, it works for them to be able to be home and in their studio, in their cave, and just be away from people and, just be in their bubble in a sense.
Sure,
but getting out of your bubble is the most important part of living,
dude,
And I know myself, I deal with anxiety shit, and I've had numerous times where I've had shows I've done where 2 days beforehand I'm like, I'm gonna fucking cancel on these people.
I can't do it.
I just and I had this overwhelming feeling, and it's like, but I know if I just say fuck that shit, I get in my car and I drive to wherever the fuck I need to drive to, well, you're gonna get there and you're gonna feel way better about it. And all these shops from back in the day that I used to stay at their houses, I didn't know these people from a hole in the ground,
right?
But I got to know them because I stayed in their fucking houses,
right? Right. So like, it almost forces you to make friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Right.
And these are shop owners who were like at the time twice my age.
Sure.
Like it was like going home to my parents' houses. They were just cool, chill people that supported our industry.
Right, support our industry.
And supported me as an artist.
And like, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, they got a couch for you, dude.
Oh yeah.
They don't want you. I mean, they get what they like what you're doing. They think what you're doing is cool.
Yeah.
They want to help you. Dude, I find the support that I get from this community is almost overwhelming. It's super. I'm just so grateful, honestly, just for the opportunity to do what I do. And like, I'm not some crazy baller or anything like that. I'm not some famous guy. So being able to reach out and have all that, bro, so many people hit me up from Florida. You know what I mean? So many people. There's no way I could work with that. There's just not.
Right.
There's just no fucking way, dude. So.
And I'm gonna back up real quick. You got some skills, bro. I mean, you're humble. I know how it is. You got skills. People would not be calling your ass up if your shit was dope. Wasn't dope and fucking clean. And
yeah, I try to remain humble on it. Like I know I'm okay. I'm okay. But I think what's most important about that is that like I don't even know that matters. Because these people are strangers and they don't know my work really. They might see my work online, but dude, fake book is fake book, and I don't trust. I really don't trust anything on fake book. So it's like a shot into the dark, and I just go with faith, and it's worked out 99% of the time. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
You hear her snoring?
Yeah, she's adorable. You should see this dude's dog.
The noisiest that she gets is when she sleeps. So yeah, I mean, I guess in a sense that's kind of what I wanted to cover. Just kind of light some fire under people's asses.
Yeah, dude. Well, here's what's crazy is that it's doable, and it's all it takes is like the decision to do it, right? Like,
and devise a plan.
And it's not like, oh, I've got a kid. I've brought my kid. You know what I mean? We did a whole 2-month tour of the West Coast with my daughter, and because of that, like, dude, my daughter grew so much from that tour.
That was huge.
You know what I mean? Like, my daughter was 6 years old and could she knew what the Golden Gate Bridge was because she'd been on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. She knew what Malibu looked like because she slept on it. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said for like knowledge through experience
and living.
Right. I'm the type of dude that I've gotta be doing it to learn it. I can't. You can tell me. I've got to be actually doing it, or watching it, and I can't just read about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this tour thing, it's great for me. For me, it's great, and it seemed to like really help my daughter. My wife loves it. Like, I don't know, bro. It's just such a magical thing. I can't express that enough.
Yeah, it's huge. I was always envious, like when I was growing up as a kid, because my grandparents took my my mom and my aunts across country every summer. Like that was, they were the summer vacation, and my mom couldn't really ever afford it. She would take us places, but it wasn't ever any like cross country kind of shit. So as an artist and getting older, that was like all I wanted to do was be able to afford to go travel and see the country. And I've been to some fucking nice places, getting to see this country and blow glass with artists and
right.
And
that's what's so dope. Dude, I've got to go to Philadelphia and walk the streets of Philly with Time and Z simply because I went out to work. You know what I mean? Like, and these people show me their homes. Like, that's what's so dope. Like, I go to Philadelphia, I'm not like on my own just meandering. I do work with my friends, and then we go out and look at the city, and they show me around. And it's like that everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they just brought me to this place, Danketsu. You ever heard of Danketsu? If you're in Orlando and not eating Danketsu, I feel bad for you. I'm not even being paid for this plug.
I'm still learning the ropes of the area. I spend 95% of my time at Disney.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, you should be. All right, y'all. Well, hope you all enjoy this conversation. Again, this is just want to kind of bring Chris on and share his current journey and talk some shit and light a fire under your ass, because that's what this new the new branding and sense with the this Glass Blowers Companion concept. It's not only to bring on the artists and share stories, but to kind of go back to what the original foundation of my show was about, was really helping you develop as an artist, as a person, as a human, so you can live out the dreams that you want to live at as an artist. Nothing better in the fucking world than living out your dreams as an artist, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I hope you feel the same way too. So until next time, we'll see you guys on The Glass Blowers Companion, episode 2, and we'll talk to you then.
Thank you so much for having me out, man. Seriously.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for being on.
Get out there and get it, guys.
Hell yeah. We'll talk to y'all soon. Love you so much. Peace.